Excuse me. Excuse me, do you guys know how to get to the airport from here? Well, I know you have wings, but I don't. Oh, now you're just showing off. I'm just looking for directions. You don't gotta throw it in my face. Thanks. Real nice. Real nice. Look at this monster. I rode my bike past here the other day. The trail's up there. There's no way down. I had to kind of just shimmy down that dirt path. It's some kind of satellite dish, obviously, but it looks like a magnet that'd be attached to a mazer to fight off giant aliens or Godzilla or something. There's even a fence around it so you can't touch it. Although it looks like it's pretty sturdy. I think I'm gonna touch it. Here I go. Does it look like I'm touching it? I'm not. Curse these muscular forearms! I'm like Popeye and it prevents me from mischief! I've got some fluffy-headed goodness. Post-shower pre-gel! Anyway, it's me, Gazbot, and it's horror production update number 3. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, no, 3. So, when we last left our hero, Gazbot, it was Thursday in the morning that I put the video up, or I filmed the video, and then afterwards I did the Hangouts number 3, which I will put a link to below. I did it in the last video too, but now it's actually happened, and I could speak to you about the experience after the fact. Anyway, it was a good experience. I enjoyed it at least as much as the second Hangout. There's another one coming up soon. I may or may not be involved in it, but it's worth checking out regardless of my participation. Usually comedy, art discussions, comic books, all the things that the people who might watch this would probably enjoy. Anyway, the funny thing is, some of the topics that were covered were about print on demand, print versus digital, things like that I talked about in my video previous to going on to the 100s Hangout, and then it, looped back around and thematically connected without even attempting to try. So, that was Thursday, and the update was on Thursday. Thursday I did taxes all day. Also, Friday I did taxes all day. Taxes, taxes, taxes. Pfft. Anyway, it's done now. Everything's sent in, and tomorrow's the 15th, so yada jotes. Meanwhile, Saturday went to a barbecue with some friends invited us, and barbecues are sort of weird for me. I enjoy hanging out with people, which is why we went, but I don't mind going to a place where people are cooking meat. I'm not that sensitive about it in that way, but typically I don't eat at them or can't eat much. I ended up eating some potato chips, things like that, and just enjoyed the company. But they had said, oh, bring some veggie burgers, we'll throw them on, and I didn't intentionally, and I'd also eaten a big breakfast of bagels, so I wouldn't be starving or anything. Every time I've brought veggie burgers to a barbecue for someone to cook for me, with the exception of my mom, and that's kind of that stereotypical, the way my mom makes them, but my mom and my stepfather grill, and I guess, I don't know, they just know how to do it, and I never even thought it was a hard thing, except that I've been to 3 or 4 different places where people try to make them for me, and I've even kind of been like, well, I think my mom did it like this, and they always come out terrible. They're always like burned to a crisp, and I think it's a thing of like, they just need to be heated up, and like I like, you smother it in some barbecue sauce first, and then you cook it separate from the other stuff, and it doesn't seem like a hard process, but it always gets messed up. So anyway, I ate a lot of potato chips and potato salad, and then Q and I went out to eat afterwards. So, and I have the experience a lot going out to eat. Well, usually not going out to eat, because I can pick whatever I want. But anytime someone's like, we're going to make dinner for you, I'm always like, oh, don't do that, that's fine. And then if I end up going anywhere, if I want to go, again, just to socialize, I will pre-game and post-game. So, oh, that's fine, I'm not really hungry, I ate a bowl of SpaghettiOs before I came, and after this I'm gonna, stop by Taco Bell, or whatever the case may be. I'm talking about food a lot, doesn't matter. Anyway, I didn't do any work on the horror that day. I felt really tired from being out in the sun for a few hours. It just, even though I didn't do anything that strenuous, though the sun was beating down on me. So, a few things I forgot to mention in the last update. I had talked about going to the flea market and getting the toys, and a buddy of mine that was with us was really slow. And it's funny because usually I'm the slow one. Like, Q will complain to me like we're in a store and I'm looking at every little toy and whatever, but usually it's something I'm interested in, at least, or somewhat interested in. But there was 4 of us, and out of the 4 of us, he was by far the slowest, like way slow, looking at stuff that he had no interest in, like what are these old shoes for a 7-year-old, and he doesn't have a 7-year-old, and just looking and looking, and it was kind of funny, and after a while though, it was like, let's move on, and like they started closing, and there was stuff we hadn't seen, and he was like, bottle caps, you say, and so I was really gassy that day, which is not a rarity for me, but it was like, I was in super fart mode, and so I was like, hey man, you better move on. And he's like, oh, I'm going. I'm like, well, I'm going to start farting here, so you better move. He's like, oh, and then he moved. And then it got to the point where I had to actually fart. I'm like, I'm going to fart. He's like, yeah, all right. I'm like, brr. And he's like, whoa, I better move. And then it got to the point where I was just herding him, like a sheepdog, where, you know, oh, we need him to go that way? Okay, well, I'm going to stand over here. Brr. Hey! And he's like, oh. So that was fun. It has nothing to do with the horror, but I enjoyed it. And it's a little technique you could use if you find yourself with a slow friend and a flatulent bottom. Ta-da! So, moving into the next day, I actually have a video that I shot earlier. I'm shooting out of sequence. Doesn't matter. So then the next day is Sunday. Let's see what I had to say about Sunday. And on the 100's third hangout, worked on the horror for about 2.5 hours. It's like a soft 2.5 hours though. Like I said in the hangout, I was working on the horror. Actually, it was more like 2 hours because the last half hour I didn't even work on the horror. But I was trying to do like writing and balloon placement and layouts and stuff that I was having a hard time concentrating on. So I got some work done, but probably not as much as had I just been working myself. But the last half hour we started talking about Battlestar Galactica and Imperious Leader, and I just went ahead and did a sketch of Imperious Leader, which I'm going to show you folks. Ta-da! There it was! Yes! Imperious Leader was the leader of the Silent Forces from the original Battlestar Galactica in the 70s. Anyway, that's that. So, moving on to the next day...
What's up? It's me, Gazbot. And this is the horror production update number 123. I'm sitting out front of a Safeway right now, drinking a flat white coffee from Starbucks. I have time to kill as Q and I went through our movie collection, DVDs and Blu-rays. I'll take these off my face. And dropped them all off at a local place called Rasputin Music, where we've previously sold a lot of our CDs, all in an effort to digitize, declutter, and make a couple extra bucks. Anyway, I dropped them all off, but it was like 3 kind of boxes full, so they said they'd need an hour or 2. So in the meantime, I went and got rid of some clothes at Goodwill, which we're also getting rid of, and I just got done walking around Toys R Us. Tempted to buy a few Transformers, but I did not. And then I got a coffee from Starbucks here, and I'm sitting outside. There were ducks here. Look at them. Look at the ducks. And ducks. Guys, crossing the crosswalk at least. Thank you. Thank you. That's the way you do it. Well done. But what's good is, since the last update, I haven't got as much done as I would like, and there's probably a previous video to this. I'm trying to do a couple videos as I go instead of trying to assemble it all at the end. Today is Monday, by the way, but today I got just under 4 hours work done before all this stuff. So, I'm keeping my hand in front, sorry about that. So I may do more later, but even if I don't, I had a pretty decent day's work. I finished up the roughs on page 16, so I'll go ahead and do a crossfade. Right, so there's the crossfade of page 16. I started doing the roughs for page 17, and realized it's a new scenario, new characters that I haven't done before yet in the book, one of whom I designed, who's the CEO. The other, who's meeting with, I did not design. So while I was starting to get that together, the 2 things I needed to do was design the person who was meeting, which I had never done. I had, in my rough thumbnails, I sort of outlined, I guess I had something in mind, even though it was not written down or designed explicitly. So I went ahead and designed him, and I'll show that to you now. His name is Bobby Chobson. Bobby Chobson. So, then I did 3 panels on that page, all roughs, all using Bobby Chobson. And they were easy panels. It was just sort of drinking and reaction shots. But I'll go ahead and put that up. This area. Right, so there's that. When I return to the page, I'm going to need to pull together some research materials to get the bar area. They're meeting at kind of like the equivalent of a fancy coffee place in the lobby of the corporate building that the CEO owns, which I kind of did a super rough gesture of in the thumbnails, but I'm going to need to get reference materials and or a concrete floor plan of what that lobby looks like, and what the proxy coffee house, because they can't have coffee, they're having they're having flavored water, because they can't have sugar, they can't have soda, they can't have coffee, they can't have that kind of stuff, unless you are doing things illegally or borderline illegally. So that's just sort of my update of where I am on today. Even though I'm out doing chores, I'm literally just killing time right now. I am thinking about how I'm going to build that sort of set. You know, I think a lot in terms of animation or movies where, like, I don't have that set. I kind of know what it's supposed to be, but I've never constructed it. I haven't really researched it. While I'm sitting here, I'm going to look up pictures on my phone, maybe save them and send them myself later, and also just, you know, get a mental image going, so that either tonight or tomorrow or whenever I get back to it, the other panels that aren't just a close-up of a person, I can start working on, especially the first panel, like an establishing shot of this scenario. This is kind of a weird angle, I realize. I'm like looking down, like, hi, I'm up high, I'm up. There's also people moving carts and walking all around me, which is why I'm not being as loud and animated as I normally would be. So I'm going to sign off for this portion of the update. More to come.
At some point while I was killing time, I did get a little bit more Easter candy from Toys R Us, 75% off. Just got some peanut butter eggs and stuff. Nothing too crazy, nothing worth showing. I'm still holding out for that 90% score. 90% off, I should say. They had a bunny, which I did not buy, but it was like a chocolate bunny head that had a robot mech body. And then they had like another one with a princess and all this, and I was all excited. I'm like, wow, these are really cool. But when I looked at them closer, it was literally a regular, like, sitting this way bunny with, like, the ears, like you always see, but just the window of the bunny face and then art drawn around it. Almost like if I was wearing a t-shirt of a muscle body, but underneath is still all my flab body. And that's what it was. It was like a robot body with like a little bunny body. It was terrible. It was false advertising. Look at this box. How cool would that have been had they committed to it? No commitment! And today is Tuesday, which is today. So I realize it's going to be weird because I'm trying this different thing of filming in segments so that I don't have to do a big recap at the end and I don't forget things, and I could, you know, I don't know, make it more multimedia or different points of views or whatever. But I realize that when you watch it linearly, in a linear manner, it's going to be a lot of, hey, it's today, hey, it's today, well, today is today. Anyway, today is today, and that day is Tuesday. And today I did some work on the heart, did about an hour and a half. I didn't do any other artwork stuff, but I did a lot of, like, housekeeping, and I don't mean cleaning the house, I mean, like, booking plane tickets for Comic-Con, and rescheduling doctor's visits, and trying to set up a cat sitter, and just, like, life stuff that took me a lot of the day, because I was like, I'm just going to work on the horror today again, you know, not get too sidetracked, but I did. But at least I did an hour and a half. The hour and a half I did was some working on the roughs for page 16 or 17, whatever page I'm on now. And I did the first panel, which is just some handshakes. I did a rough on that. It's like a close-up. Well, I'll show you. So, yeah, that was that. But then I was going to do the next panel, which is the interior lobby that I talked about earlier. And so I decided to do like a little overhead map like I've done before. And I also needed to design sort of a logo for the fake company, the Aqua Flave, which is the flavored water. So I did a little bit of research in different logos and pulled together the stuff I had looked at earlier and then a little bit more today. And I did the map and the logo, which I'll put bingo! Wingo bingo! So, there's that. Okay, now we're catching up. We're almost to present day. And then I spent some time trying to get the word balloons to fit in the second panel. I had the super rough thumbnail, but these last couple pages with a lot of dialogue, I've been having real trouble with the word balloons, and I talked about this previously, and we actually have talked about it on the 100s and on some message boards, and it's funny because I was giving other people advice on it, and I'm like, as I'm reading it, I'm like, I'm not even taking my own advice. What are you doing? And I'm like mad at myself from the past. You know better than this past self. But I chalk it all up to when I did the thumbnails, I kind of had in mind what was going on in the panel as far as action. and then I just miscalculated the amount of dialogue can go in. And so I'm trying to rectify that now, certainly now rather than later, but that's why I'm focusing on speech balloons so much. And I was having a real hard time getting them in there, and I actually started looking up tips and stuff for word balloons, and I found some stuff from Chris Oatly, which is very good. I'll put those links below. There's like 2 different links, but what to put in a word balloon, how you want to have a certain amount of spacing, and not too much, not too little, and the way to put the words in sort of a diamond as opposed to like a brick or whatever. And a lot of good stuff. A lot of it I knew. Here's the thing. A lot of it I knew. A few things I didn't. But even the stuff I knew, it's always good to refresh yourself and remind yourself and examine. Because clearly, while I knew it, I wasn't necessarily doing it. But my problem was less with what goes in the balloon and more with balloon placement. And it's not so much that I don't understand balloon placement. It's that I didn't really account for it when I did the thumbnail rough. So I sort of started redrawing that panel completely. Not to the point where I have anything to show you, but that's something else I worked on today. And which brings us more or less to the end of today, being Tuesday. And I am going to be out. I was going to go a week, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff in here already, and if I am feeling motivated enough to get the video done, which I am, I'll edit it tonight. It'll go up, tonight, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, whatever. Why not? I mean, I'll try to do one a week, but if I get one done earlier, hey, earlier I got one done later. So later I'll get one done earlier. That's been number 3. Peace.